Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this video I would like to talk about a few different topics. There are three major ones, which are the orange Maluch is working again, the possibility of a custom number plate in the future, and yet another attempt to get a sponsorship for refurbishing the interior. So there's a lot to talk about, so without further ado, let's get started. Let's start this video on a positive note. The orange Maluch is driving again. So what was the problem? I will get to that in a second, but first I would like to tell you something different about the starter motor, of course, and the starting of the car itself. Yesterday I was lying under the car with the multimeter to check if the solenoid indeed gets enough power to start up the car. Turned out that the amount of volts that reached the starter motor or the solenoid was over 12 volts. So that definitely wasn't the problem of too little power to the solenoid. Then I tried to check the input of power on the little wire that goes from the ignition to the solenoid. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to do that. However, in the process of doing that, I short-circuited the starter motor and it started to turn. So immediately after that, I jumped into the car, or first of all, I let it down from the car jack. I jumped into the car and restarted it, and it immediately started. So I was very positive and took the car out for a spin in the thoughts of, yeah, maybe the car will restart now normally again. So I took it out for a spin until it warmed up, went back home, switched it off, tried to restart it, and nothing. So I was back to square one. Yesterday I went to a shop, to an electrical shop, bought some wires and redid some of the wiring to the starter motor, replaced the old one with the recently purchased one, and luckily the car started immediately. In order to make sure that this wasn't a coincidence, I took it out for a drive again until the car warmed up, went back home, switched it off, switched it on. This time, however, the car started immediately, and I repeated this process 3 or 4 times just to make sure that this one time wasn't a coincidence either. So in the end, it turned out to be a very minor wiring issue. Well, I certainly hope that was only this particular problem, and I'm very glad that I was able to solve it myself. Technically, not myself though, because I had a lot of comments and advice here on YouTube, Facebook, or whatever different platform I received those advice. So I am very, very thankful for that, and it made the problem solving a lot easier. So this is basically it for the first topic that I wanted to cover. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then I'm going to continue with the second topic, which is a possibility of a custom number plate in the future. So part 2 of this video is going to be the possibility of a custom number plate in the future. Ever since I brought my green Maluch, my second Maluch, to Austria in 2016, I've been using one set of plates. Here in Austria, it is possible to register up to 3 cars under one set of plates. The most obvious advantage here is that you would pay only for the car with the most horsepower, which in my case with 2 Maluchs, 2 Fiat 126Ps is there's actually no difference, because both of them have 23 horsepower and the insurance is very little. Again, there are different possibilities how to pay the insurance. I paid per month. You can pay per quarter or per year. Obviously, if you pay it per year, it gets a little bit cheaper, but on the other hand, paying it monthly, I have the costs covered easily. Anyway, I've had the thought about custom number plates for a very long time. However, I never followed through with that, and my desired custom license number plate would have been L126P. Unfortunately, here in Austria, custom number plates have to start with a letter and end on a number. So just the opposite of the regular license plate, which start with a number and end on a letter. So the L is obviously for the town I live in, which is Linz. And my custom number plate would then be followed by an X, which would read Alex as my first name, followed by 126 as a reference to the car, obviously. Another possibility would be Alex001, and that would give me the possibility, if the plate is not reserved or owned by somebody else, to maybe use a custom number plate on my green Maluch in the future, which would then be Alex002. But I would really prefer the Alex126 license plate. Unfortunately, it is not possible to end it with a P, because it has to end on a number. The validity of custom number plates here in Austria is 15 years. So I can either reserve it for this amount of time, or use it from the start for the next 15 years. In order to get a license plate, I have to register for it, then pay around 250 euros for the registration, the plate itself, and so on and so forth. And after having paid those 250 euros, it takes maybe 4 days for the license plate to arrive, and then you can technically use it on the car. However, before using it on the car, clearly I have to contact my insurance company so they can adapt my policy and so on and so forth. This takes maybe 2 or 3 days, and then I would officially be able to use the license plate on the car. Having 2 plates for 2 cars obviously means that I will have to pay insurance for both cars separately, but as the insurance is fairly cheap, this shouldn't be any problem. And on the other hand, this will give me the opportunity to take both cars out at the same time. Obviously, I will have to convince someone to drive either this or my green Maluch, but this shouldn't be a big problem. I certainly hope that there will be someone who will be willing to drive either car, and I'm very much looking forward to making contact with both cars somewhere else than on the parking space of the shopping mall that I used in the past, and so on and so forth. And this is it for the second part of this video. The third part is going to be yet another application for a sponsorship for refurbishing the interior. As after the first part, I need to take a sip of water, and then we'll continue. This was a good sip of water, so let's continue with the third and last topic of this video, which is an application, or yet another application for refurbishing the interior of the car. I've mentioned it in my very first YouTube video and once or twice after that. Before starting with the restoration in 2015, I applied for a sponsorship at a company which was and still is a very famous local energy drink producer, and within just a few weeks I received an answer. It was denied back then, but after the first shock or disappointment, I started with the restoration anyway, and after having finished it, I was very glad that I was able to finance it myself. But I've gone about this topic in one of my previous videos. I guess it was the 10-year special. And in November of last year, I updated my application letter and sent it again. Unfortunately, the only answer that I received was an automated one, and nothing else came out of it. So last week I updated it once again with the number of my subscribers, with the number of views that I have until now, and sent it again. This time around I received an answer within a few hours, and my application was denied once again. Of course, the chances of me getting a sponsorship with only 230 subscribers with maybe 35,000 views in total were very slim, but I had to try it. And I will try it once again, maybe in 1 or 2 years, if there's another project coming up. or maybe, just maybe, the channel is going to grow so much that they will write me for a possible sponsorship. But I guess that's just wishful thinking. So this means that I will have to fund the refurbishing of the interior myself, and maybe just with the restoration itself I will be glad to have financed it myself after it is done. But until then I have to save up at least 2,000 euros, and 2,000 euros will only last for refurbishing the interior with basic fabric as it is now. It doesn't look bad, but having something differently done would be very nice. But as I said, this will take some time. This is a project for 2022. This season is coming to an end pretty close, or pretty soon. It is in the middle of August, so the car will go into hibernation pretty soon, and this will give me the time to save up some money. But that is basically it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, thumbs it up. If you didn't, thanks for watching. Please make sure to comment something, share this video with anyone who is interested in these kinds of cars. And I'll be seeing you in the next video. I'm out. Bye bye. So it just started to rain, so in order to close this video as an outro, let's start the engine together, and hopefully it does start and I wasn't talking shit. I'm glad it finally works, and now it's really finished this video. Bye! A famous person recently said, drink water. Do that.